Taurus, the interpreter of the divine. The second house, the second sign, Taurus. The earthy, steadfast energy of the bull. A symbol acknowledged by all world religions and exemplifies our worldly desires, willpower, and the ego. This presentation will include the 3 Decans of Taurus, tarot cards that personify each of the decans and the overall Taurus energy, esoteric and alchemy representation, and mentions of the Taurus constellation in the biblical scriptures. Hello, Divine Ones. This is Ashley for FD 1111 Ministries, home of Tarot, Bible, and Alchemy. Check out the description box for a link to the Taurus cheat sheet for all the Tauruses and those that are looking to study tarot, astrology, and alchemy. The second house is the house of Taurus. This embodies our personal finances and material possessions. Natal planets in this house tend to seek security in the material world, while planets that transit this house reveal changes in our finances and/or self-esteem, which can include status and tangibles that suggest a status of wealth or lack. Materialistic, impulsive, desires that rule over the flesh. The fixed, stable earth sign exudes determination, stubbornness, strong willingness, which makes them the earthiest of all the earth signs, but also one of the most naturally, spiritually grounded signs when in the higher awakened aspects. The interpretation of the divine. Macrocosmos, the divine self, versus microcosmos, the flesh self. The elements of alchemy, the foundation of creation, goes as follows. First, the emanation of fire. Second, water. Third, air. The mother letters of the Hebrew alphabet. Shin, fire. Mem, water. And Aleph, air. All equal earth. The last emanation. The macrocosmos. The word human derives from the Latin word humus, meaning earth, soil, man. The physical temple, the Taurus. Man, manas, is the Sanskrit word for mind, from the root man, to think. Here we have the interpreter of the divine, known as the voice in ancient Egypt, fitting because Taurus rules the throat, neck, thyroid gland, and vocal tract. In the biblical text, the word became flesh. The word became earth. The popular phrase bullseye derives from the brightest star in the Taurus constellation, Aldebaran. The star has other names such as Eye of Revelation, Buddha's star, God's eye, star of illumination, being one of the 4 royal stars, also known as the 4 royal stars of Persia and the heavenly kings. The eastward king is the Archangel Michael, and this is the star Aldebaran. The eastward watcher or king is the Archangel Michael. Holding the red eye, the bull's eye, Aldebaran, meaning the follower. The Persian name 𝐻𝑒𝑠, also connected with Sirius and Arcturus, reaching dominance at the spring equinox, thus associated with springtime. Being the single eye, the eye of the right side of the bull, right being feminine and also intuition, is associated with the third eye. The single eye, the light of the body, is the eye. If therefore thine eye be single, thy whole body shall be full of light. Matthew 6:22. King James Version, a quote from Christ. There are many golden nuggets in this passage, but sticking to the topic at hand. The light, the brightest star, Aldebaran, the single eye. The body is the body of Orion, the hunter, known as Orion, the light of heaven. The Greek name being 𝐽𝑒𝑟𝑢𝑎na, and the constellation of Taurus was called 𝐺𝑒𝑖𝑛𝑎, the bull of heaven. The bull, Taurus, is the ruler of Venus. In Greek mythology, Zeus transformed himself into a beautiful white bull to win the affections of Europa, convincing her to ride his back. Now, this is a reference to the nectar of life in alchemy, joining the feminine and the masculine with the white bull that represents the consummation of the union. The three decans of Taurus: Orion, light, air element; Uranus, the river, water element; and Aruga, the shepherd, the air element. The first decan, Orion, the light, of the fiery aspect of Taurus, Taurus triplicity. The first decan spans from April 20th to the 30th. This decan is ruled by Mercury and Venus. Due to its precession, this sector is heavily influenced by the fiery sign of Aries. These bulls are natural-born rulers, the raging bulls, the bull being the ego, which one must conquer. Can you bind the chains of Pleiades? Can you loosen Orion's belt? Job 38:31. This decan is best represented by the Five of Pentacles in the tarot. Here, the Taurus is called for a deep spiritual change and transformation, and to change the focus from the material world, the microcosmos plane of the earthly gain, to the spiritual, the microcosmic viewpoint. Instead of lusting after the physical, the drive and the desire is turned to the spiritual nature. A quick point about Job, that he had a great amount of respect and stature and a lot of worldly success. Although Job was a righteous man, he lost his position and his possessions, but through the lack of physical desires and pleasures, that he awakened another aspect of himself. As a quick side note, I found that it is interesting that in this quote that God of the Bible mentions to Job, noted as a righteous man of the Bible, that Pleiades and Orion, two constellations mentioned in astrology, that if it was not for him knowing about Pleiades and Orion, why would the God of the Bible mention that to him as a driving home point of Job not knowing everything? So he must have had some form of knowledge of astrology. That's just a side note to think about. Now, moving on to another card that embodies this decan of Taurus, the Hierophant, which is the card in totality for Taurus, but nonetheless speaks more to the mercurial and Venusian aspects depicted in this decan. The placement of the right hand of the high priest, or the teacher of wisdom, or even sometimes related to as Jupiter, that the right hand placement with the two fingers pointed down signifies a blessing being given. This figure is seated on the throne between two pillars symbolizing law and liberty. The two keys are symbols of heaven and earth, and the two at his feet are servants or subjects or students. The leader or the ruler has sovereign leadership. This represents authority, tradition, marriage, and servitude. The duty of Mercury, the messenger of the gods, and Venus, the goddess of love. The two keys are representations of forgiveness, both given and taken, compassion and empathy. The second decan, Eridanus, the river, the watery aspect of Taurus, spanning from April 30th to May 10th, ruled by the moon and Mercury. This is Virgo triplicity. Here the bull is patient, ambitious, mild-mannered, and exudes stamina. Here the moon is very influential. The throat is very powerful in this placement, which can produce powerful and persuasive singers and ordinators. The moon can also be very charming, to the extremes of being overly affectionate and suffocating in romantic connections. The Six of Pentacles best represents this decan, where the parallels and extremes are aroused. Domination versus submission, generosity versus meanness or selfishness, and etc. The moon is exalted in this sign, and especially in this decan. The moon card is another great representation of this decan. Pictured in the traditional Rider-Waite deck is a wolf colored the same hue of the moon and a dog, likened to a wolf. This symbolizes the polarities of the Taurus in this decan, moody and sometimes indecisive. The third decan, 𝐼𝐻𝑘𝐿, the shepherd, the airy aspect of Taurus, spanning from May 10th through the 19th, ruled by Saturn, Capricorn triplicity. Here the shoulder of Orion is a large goat climbing upward, leaving the two smaller goats behind. This represents the two energies such as feminine, masculine, left brain, right brain, ego, and intuition or imagination, merging into one consciousness. Ezekiel 34:23, and I will set up one shepherd over them, and he shall feed them, even my shepherd David. He shall feed them, and he shall be their shepherd. Over the two smaller, representing a flock, representing separation. Representing the higher consciousness is the one goat over top of the two. While this scripture is making reference to Orion, it is also making reference to the Christ, the shepherd. I did a video about Capricorn, and this scripture is in relation to Capricorn as well. And this decan is ruled by Capricorn, and there could be some correlation there for you. Okay, moving on. These bulls are the artistic types. Temperamental, stoic, thrifty, creative, the bohemian types. This decan is best fitted by the Seven of Pentacles, physically, emotionally demanding. Here the bull is focused so intently on work that he or she has not taken inventory of the amount of progress that they have made. These are the overachievers, working just for the sake of working. Needing to take a break, needing to take a moment to realize all of their hard work is finally paying off. Another excellent card for this decan is the Queen of Pentacles. Here is a divine feminine or an individual that has worked hard, and now she or he is ready to reap the harvest of prosperity and security. A few other cards that represent the Taurarian energy are the Empress and the High Priestess. Let's first address our Venusian goddess, the Empress. Similar to the Queen of Coins, however, she didn't acquire her wealth and security through hard work. She is just abundant and prosperous, the Mother Earth, the womb of life itself. Here represents the three elements, the first three emanations manifesting into the physical realms: fire, water, and air, creating Earth. Crowned with the 12 stars, the 12 constellations, the 12 tribes, the 14th pathway, Daluth, meaning doorway. Here's where the primal masculine and the primal feminine, understanding and wisdom, join in union in the womb, staying in incubation before being birthed through the hangman, Pisces. Next is the High Priestess card, also associated with wisdom and understanding. She is a seated woman with pomegranates, just the same as the Empress. Her connection with the moon heightens her intuition. The two pillars are related to the fashion, that of the Hierophant. Adorning her head is a crown of 2 crescent moons and 1 full moon, representing the triple goddess. At her feet is the headdress of Hathor, the Egyptian goddess associated with the cow. 2 additional cards associated with the Taurus are the Wheel of Fortune and the World card for their tetromorphic figures. And tetromorphic means 4 that morph into 1. You can see on these two cards that I mentioned before, the Wheel of Fortune and the World card, that the four evangelists, the four apostles, the four corners of heaven represents not just archangels, directions, but they also represent constellations that will give you some type of clue when you are studying. These clues can include, but are not limited to, constellations or astrological events or timing of the year, holidays or festivals or religious sacraments, and even individuals themselves. There is so much that can be said about the earthiest sign of the zodiac, but I will cut it here. Don't forget to check out the free Taurus cheat sheet listed in the link below. If you are not part of our family, consider joining us. All you have to do is just tap the subscribe button and ring the notification bell to receive notifications when we post new information. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up. Share any information that you find important. If you find interesting, or if I missed a fact, it is very much welcome here. And you can share if you care to do so. I thank you guys so much for tuning in. Resources are listed in the description box. And I will talk to you guys next time for Gemini season. Peace.